Prince George was 12 when Papa died. Papa had recently set him up in his own household, the dyed-in-the-wool tradition for a crown prince approaching puberty. It was something about preparation for a righteous king could be better accomplished with less parental influence. George thought it nonsense. He was relieved Papa established him only next door under the supervision of trusted family friend Lord North for governor. Papa may have thought the custom harsh because he sent Prince Edward, George's year younger brother, for company, and he had construction underway for a long hallway wing joining the houses. The royal tutor, Reverend Askew, arrived early that terrible morning. He appeared suddenly before dawn, his face framed in eerie candlestick shadow light, at the bottom of the stairs, and called the princes down. Wiping sleep from their eyes, they hurried to comply, arriving wet-faced and still buttoning their shirts with hair awry. George could hear Lord North clattering around in the kitchen. The prince felt vague anxiety creeping into his chest as the old gentleman folded his tall, lanky frame into a brocade wing chair and somberly requested the princes sit before him. George sat searching the piercing eyes hiding under the bushy brows as the Reverend ran his gnarled fingers through his thick white hair. Prince Edward was still hopping around pulling on his left boot. As soon as he settled, the old gentleman took a deep breath and sighed sorrowfully.
"Your papa has gone to heaven."
The words swam around until they muted in the velvet drapes.
"It can't be, sir."
George sprang up.
"The doctor said yesterday Papa had improved."
He bolted out the side door. Tears blurred his vision as he raced across the garden path under a pewter-grey dawn. Chilled March wind tore at his shirt-tail, biting his midriff and ears. Motion slowed, and sound grew distant. Surely this was only a nightmare. He was only vaguely aware Edward and the astute old Reverend galloped somewhere behind him like a panicked rearguard. As he lunged up the kitchen steps, Edward's wailing closed in, tugging him from the ragged dream. The door flung open, and several teary servants fell in with the miserable entourage. The room was darker than usual. Colder. The young prince paused, catching his breath while his eyes adjusted. He shivered. The fire had burned low. In the dim light, Mama sat at the table before the hearth with her head buried in her arms. A forlorn lady-in-waiting wept softly nearby.
"Say it isn't true, Mama,"
he gasped, racing to her. She looked up dazedly. He saw her eyes, often red with allergies, swollen to slits. Fear squeezed him, forcing a gasp. She attempted a brave demeanor, stood to greet her sons, and smoothed her skirts over the forming lump in her stomach. Ignoring her delicate condition, George threw himself against her, weeping bitterly. Edward joined the embrace, stretching his arms about them both as he bawled and shrieked. Mama bent toward them, cooing and patting. George felt lead in his inners, pulling him to his knees. The room was spinning as staff scrambled to catch the crumbling tangle, settling them on the fainting couch. Mama and Papa had seeped George in kingly decorum for a future so remote it seemed fanciful. Sprawled there in a dazed heap, tangled with Mama and Edward with the shock of smelling salts wafting through the air, he suddenly felt the frightening weight of the British crown. Through sobs, he vowed to take Papa's place.
"I'll look after you, Mama."
He struggled to hold his surging tears and sound kingly.
"And Edward and William."
He extricated his arms from the pathetic huddle and sat upright.
"And Ladies Augusta II and Elizabeth. I'll be there, Mama, for the babies. And the baby coming."
The whole kitchen, usually merry with aromas of roasted meats and fresh baked bread, resounded with a chorus of gasps and sobs. Mama cleared her throat.
"We're under the king's extreme disfavor,"
she said with her bottom lip quivering.
"Oh, God, have mercy. We need your protection and wisdom."
She hugged her two boys to her.
"God is our hope and guide. He will meet our needs."